you're more important to me. So, um,
That's that's huge. That's I got chills. Ugh. All right, well, thanks for joining. Today, we're joined by a man who has a channel with 4,200 subs, 187 videos, over 500,000 views, and I have dubbed him as the Saddle King. It is Matt from Mad Hunts Adventures. Matt, thanks for joining.
hey, thank you so much for having me. Seriously, I really am humbled that you would ask.
I'd really appreciate you accepting the invite. It was definitely on my list as soon as I thought this up. I'm like, I've got to have Matt on. I feel like you're the king of saddle reviews. Been reviewing saddles for several years, and I've gotten into saddle hunting, so I've definitely watched a lot of even though I don't need to. I want to see these new saddles that you're reviewing all the time, and you always have great thoughts and great coverage on them. Sitting in them for hours at a time, holding your phone up, showing us you've been in there for an hour. So,
Well, thank you for your support. I really do appreciate
oh
it.
yeah, and we're rocking the Mad Hunts T-shirt as well.
Well, thank you for that. The logo change, though.
Yes, we're going to talk about that. I got that in my
Okay.
notes. So maybe you could share with us just a little bit about your day job. I know that's kind of changed in the last few years. Been following along with that kind of a journey, but walk me through what you're doing nowadays.
Okay. Well, the last job I had, I was in law enforcement in Michigan and had some health issues and non-life-threatening health issues, but health issues just the same. And they were putting me at risk as well as fellow officers at risk. And I ended up coming to the conclusion that I needed to walk away just for safety reasons. Um, so my wife found this work camping job, and we had a travel trailer that we would take out, to the UP or down to Indiana or wherever we were going, just for weekend warrior type stuff. And we needed an income. We lost, obviously we lost my income and decided to hit the road full time. So right now we're full time RVers. We bounce from campground to campground. We generally work at the campgrounds we are staying at. We do different jobs there. Sometimes she'll work in the office. Sometimes I work out on the maintenance crew. Sometimes this current job I'm at now, I am a security or a ranger, and I work the gates, help the office, help the guests, do different things. But we also do odd jobs. I work for a farmer in the fall. I've worked for them for 2 seasons now. I just love doing that. Something about being up there in Minnesota, working for a farmer, and just the camaraderie and trying to watching the fields narrow down and then finishing the harvest. It's just it's a lot of fun. So that's kind of what my day-to-day job looks like now. Is totally different than what my background was, but
Yeah, for
a
sure.
lot less stress, and it's exciting to see different parts of the country. So we're really enjoying it.
Yeah, it's like I wouldn't say it's like retirement, but I mean you're traveling around
Yeah.
like it. So that's kind of cool seeing a lot of different parts of the country for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely not like retirement. Some of the jobs are cleaning toilets and picking up trash on campsites and that type of thing, but definitely not stressful. So
Yeah,
we're enjoying it.
very cool. Well, I'm sure you've got a YouTube channel, so you've got to spend some time watching YouTube. If we were to check your history, what kind of stuff are we seeing? Are you looking at, obviously, I'm sure some hunting stuff, some saddle stuff, but are you watching, some entertainment stuff? Are you watching, I watch from time to time things like Think Media that teach you how to watch analytics and how to use better thumbnails and stuff like that. So what kind of stuff we seen on your search history?
Well, my wife does more of the Think Media and thumbnails and YouTube, how to grow your channel, and she's really good at that kind of stuff. I don't generally watch that personally. I watch everything from, I don't know if you're familiar with the channel. I think I have it right here. How Not To. beta climbers, rock climbing stuff. I really enjoy that. I've always wanted to rock climb, so doing the one sticking thing has really been fun because of that. I watch this really good channel, JR Outdoors.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, no, I watch all different stuff. I also watch podcasts of some of my favorite pastors, so I watch some of that. And then coming from law enforcement, I'm kind of drawn to watch some of the 1A audit stuff and just to see what's going on out there. It's
Yeah.
kind of my way of staying in touch with what's happening. Not a lot of that, but I do watch some of that. But mostly it's hunting stuff and saddle stuff, climbing stuff, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Can you tell me, like, when you started your channel, when you first started it, did you have kind of a mission or a goal in mind? And since the start of your channel, has that shifted, or do you have one now?
When I first started the channel, it was purely a hobby. It was just entertainment. I started recording or filming my hunts back in the early 2000s, and that was, before we were all posting them on YouTube.
Yeah.
That didn't even exist at the time, but it was fun. And I quit doing that for a number of years and actually walked away from hunting for a number of years. And we can talk about that if you want to later. But so because of that, I started this YouTube channel when I got back into hunting, and I just wanted to document just for fun. Just wanted to show my hunts, my failures, my misses, the days I didn't see anything, just scouting. Just wanted to kind of document things. So it was purely just entertainment at that point. Now I've kind of niched it down or niched it down and have more focus on where I want to go and what I want to do. So what started out as just for fun as a hobby has now taken more of a single road, so to speak, instead of multiple lanes.
Okay.
At least that's the direction I'm heading.
I'm definitely going to jump off script and then I'll try to make sure I come back, because I'm terrible at this. I'm like chasing rabbits down the hole. So you talked about kind of filming and just showing everything. I think one of my favorite videos of yours was the bloopers one.
Oh yeah.
And I love that you showed all that stuff, and it was hilarious. Like the gunshot specifically, you're sitting in the saddle, and I know that feeling. I have a train that is probably about 3/4 of a mile from my house, and I've run into that sort of situation as I'm talking, toot toot, but the gunshots and constantly going, and you could see the frustration building, and I'm ready for you to just scream. In that video is pretty funny.
Yeah, I might have when I turn the camera off. I don't know, but I do try to honor God, and sometimes it gets really frustrating. That was really funny though, and thinking back on that, I do laugh about that.
Oh yeah, yeah. At the moment, not so funny, but afterwards, definitely funny.
I was doing a saddle review. I mean, I knew what I was talking about, and I wanted to get that finished.
Yeah, yeah, and it's made me think. I'm like, man, I need to start taking all those bloopers and sticking them in a file and hold on to those for later.
I started doing that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I mean, well, I don't want to. I'm going to get ahead of myself if I keep going. So let me stop there. So how long ago did you start making YouTube videos, and when you started, what was the direction you were headed? Was it just a film, or then saddles just kind of fell into the game, or?
Well, that's a great question. I started filming in July of 2019. And again, I thought I was just filming purely for fun. I did film a lot of my scouting, trail camera stuff, some hunting videos, that kind of thing. And then the funny thing was, I think my very first video is if I remember correctly, I'd have to go back and look, but I think my very first video ended up being a review of something or other, and I had good responses on it, and I could see that it was important for the hunting community, for all of us to get more information. So
Hawk
that kind of
helium,
was
Hawk helium climbing sticks.
yeah. Yeah, so I did a review on the Hawk Heliums, and then I think I did another one end of season. I did a postseason follow-up to that.
Okay.
And so then I did a Fourth Hero camera arm. I don't think that one did very well view-wise. It might have been one of my lower views, but it wasn't that good of a video either. Back then I was new to editing. I was new to filming for editing purposes. I used to just self-film my hunts, and I'd put them on a hard drive, and then I could watch them or something like that if I wanted to. But so anyway, I did that review video, and it kind of made me start thinking of the fact that a lot of us need to know more information about some of the products that we all want to use. So that was always in the back of my mind when I first started. But then like I said, I was strictly starting this channel just as entertainment for myself. It was a hobby. I remember pacing back and forth in the living room one day, and my wife said, "You need a hobby. You need something to do." I was looking out the window, and she's like, "Go find something to do." So, that's when I started hunting again, and then I started self-filming. So that was just a hobby for me at that point. Then when I got into saddle hunting, or I wanted to get into saddle hunting, I realized the disconnect between being able to go to a box store, look at what I wanted to purchase, and say, that's the one I want, and walk out the door with it. You couldn't do that. So I started looking online, and you had to look in multiple different places, several different channels, to try to really start to learn and put things together. And it was kind of overwhelming at that time. I found Greg's G2 Outdoors, his channel, and so I did the modified sit drag, sewed it. I remember my wife had a hair appointment up in Ann Arbor. I went up there with her, and I sat in a coffee shop sewing my sit drag, and people looking at me like, "What's this guy doing?" I'm sewing a sit drag while I'm drinking coffee waiting for her. But so I did the modified sit drag. I watched Greg's videos and built my own bridges, and made my own fids and full buried and did all that stuff. And I hunted out of that for my first season. And I realized, again, thinking back to that Hawk review and how successful that one was, doing really well, I thought at the time, why not just make a saddle review and let guys get more information about the saddles that are currently out there? So I purchased 5 saddles, went out to my hunt club there and did one saddle at a time. And I just walked through the entire process. Things I would have liked to have known, close-ups of the saddle, what they are, how this lineman's loop differs from this saddle's lineman loop, and the waist belt, Raptor buckles versus rope belts, and, that type of thing. I thought that would be very helpful information for the saddle hunting community. And that video is now my biggest viewed video. So most viewed video. So that's kind of how things progressed.
Yeah, for sure. I can totally relate. And we're going to have to get back. We'll skip back to hunting in a second, and how you like your hunting story, because I definitely want to hear about that. But sounds a little bit like mine. I grew up hunting as a kid. Long story short, Grandpa sold property and kind of lost my hunting. And where I worked, I couldn't ever get the time off during hunting season. So I didn't hunt again really until 2018. And kind of got back into it. And at that time, built a sit drag, stitched up. I have my own sewing machine. It's not my wife's, it's my sewing machine. And I sewed webbing onto it and little molly loops and all that. And I hunted out of that for 2 seasons until I got another saddle. So
That's awesome.
definitely can relate to that. So,
Yep.
So maybe can you tell me a little bit about your hunting history? You said you kind of took a break for a while and.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let me just start back. Growing up, I started hunting when I was young, probably early 80s. I was born in 70, so I was between 10 and 13. My uncle had a farm in Hillsdale, and I would always go stay weekends with him at his farm. We would do a lot of coon hunting, and I grew up coon hunting, and he gave me coon dogs. He used to raise and train coon dogs, and we used to go to fraternity trials and Kenton National coon dog trials and all those. So I did a lot of coon hunting and squirrel hunting and rabbit hunting with him. With one of my other uncles, I started getting into duck hunting and waterfowl and really enjoyed all that. But when I was little, my brother and sister and we would get woken up when my dad would come home from Houghton Lake. The family, all the guys would all go up to Houghton Lake and do an annual deer hunt. And we were all excited when he would get home, especially if we knew he got a deer, and we'd run out in the garage and see his deer. And we got to get out of bed. It was just fun, touch a deer's eye and all that good stuff, as a little kid.
Yeah.
So I grew up watching my dad deer hunt and bow hunt. All he ever did was bow hunt. He never did gun hunt or anything. So I got into archery and started shooting. We'd all go out in the backyard and shoot together, that kind of thing. And so that kind of connected with my coon hunting and waterfowl and rabbit hunting and squirrel hunting. It all kind of merged together. And so I've been hunting for a lot of years. And my grandparents on my dad's side and 3 uncles owned 120 acres down in southeast Ohio. We used to go down there every year, down around Zanesville. We would go down there every year and deer hunt. My brother-in-law and I would for a number of years, and I absolutely loved it. Was just passionate about it, and to the point where I was convicted. The Lord was convicting me, and I was struggling year after year after year with this conviction of, do you love me as much as you love hunting? And if you would have looked at my actions, I would probably have to say no to that. And although I was serving in the church and I was on the worship team in church and doing all of that, but my true heart and passion was being outdoors in God's creation. And some can say, there's nothing wrong with that. And there's not in and of itself. It's God's creation. But when you idolize something over the Lord, it now becomes sinful. And I definitely was idolizing. I was putting hunting above the Lord as far as my heart's desire. And I struggled with it for a number of years. I talked to my brother-in-law about it on multiple drives down. It'd take us 2-3 hours to get down there, 3.5 hours to get down to Zanesville from Michigan. My GoPro just died. Do you want me to keep recording?
No.
Okay.
Gotta love GoPros, right?
Yeah. Anyway, back to, so it really was a struggle for me. And I'm not saying my struggle is your struggle or anybody else's struggle. It's how the Lord is working in your heart. That's what matters. And this was just personal for me. And I finally came to the point where I walked away. I just felt like the Lord was asking me over and over and over, could you walk away from hunting if I wanted you to? So I walked away. It was a decision that I made, and I actually sold everything. I sold my bows. I sold a number of my guns. I gave the kids my fishing stuff, my camo clothes, my scent free, everything. I mean, I literally gave and sold everything. And I walked away from hunting for a number of years, and I hadn't missed a season of deer hunting for as long as I can remember. So, but it was tough to do, but it was the most freeing thing that I've ever done, is to sacrifice that or lay that down at the Lord's feet and say, you're more important to me. So,
That's that's huge. That's I got chills. Oh, that's very cool. Yeah, that's inspiring, honestly.
oh, thank you.
I think it relates a lot to a previous podcast I had with Ben, and putting things into perspective. And I think you've nailed that. Like, our perspective needs to be on our faith first, our faith in God, family, friends, and then fun. Fun comes down here last. And I think a lot of times, if we had changed the way we put things in order, our lives would be a whole lot better for that, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Yeah, so I started talking with my wife and thinking about getting back into hunting. And that's around the time 2019 when I started my YouTube and started filming again. That was all on the heels of that dry period. It was actually not a dry period. It was an awesome period, very fruitful period in my life. So what I thought I call it a dry period, but it really wasn't. It was an awesome time with the Lord. And it was probably close to, I don't know, 5 or 8 years that I walked away. Maybe it wasn't that long, but in my head, it seemed like it was that long. So
Right,
I don't know,
for sure.
but it was a few years anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate you telling me. That's very powerful. So,
Well, thank you. It might be the first time I've shared that with anybody. So
I really appreciate you being open and sharing that here, for sure. So that had to be like, I don't know. I don't want to say I couldn't do it, but that's I don't know. I'm kind of speechless, to be honest with you. So that is very cool. So next question on my list: how did you come up with the name Mad Hunts Adventures? How did that unfold?
Well, first you got to tell me, do you like the name?
So I was trying to figure it out. I was like, is it supposed to be Matt Hunts? And then like it just, someone said it funny. So I don't mind it, because I'm like, I'm mad hunt. Like, I don't know. It just seems like Crazy Hunts is what springs to mind. And it sticks in my mind as soon as I heard it. So I think that's key. I specifically remember seeing it and was like, wonder what that's about. And it made me click. So it did its job, if that's what it was for.
That's cool. No, those are my initials, MAD.
Oh, see?
Yeah, it's that simple. But I thought about doing Mad Hunting, and that would kind of make more sense than Mad Hunts. People would think Mad Hunting, but Mad Hunts was just what stuck in my head. So I went with that, but it's just my initials. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, because I just assumed it was just kind of like Crazy Hunts. I'd never put it together. Yeah. It's often like, and I hate to spotlight my channel, but Jeremy Riggin Outdoors. My last name's not Riggin. It's just that I've rigged things up my whole life. It's just making do with what I've got around me. So my wife's like, no, it just needs to be Jeremy Riggin Outdoors. I'm like, because I was sewing my own saddle. I was making my own climbing sticks. I was Jeremy rigging everything I did. So that's
awesome. So
now everyone thinks Riggin's my last name. It's kind of funny.
I love that. So, that's really cool.
So then let's talk about this logo. And then if you could tell me about the change in logo.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is I love trees. I love being in outdoors and looking at all the different trees, just the shape of trees. if you think about it, God created millions and billions of trees, and not one's alike. And it's kind of like people. I mean, there's billions of people, but we're all different. And it's so cool to look at all the different trees. So I knew I wanted something in my logo that had a tree in it. And I'm not really good at just off the cuff coming up with a design. I know, the hunting farmer Dave's got his cool logo, and it all makes sense with the pitchforks and the guns. And I didn't have anything to base a logo off of. So I knew I loved trees. I think I threw an arrow in there. There's an
Yep.
arrow in there. And then just simplified it, just put my name and just kind of made it simple. But I never felt like that logo made a ton of sense. Maybe it's just me. Mad Hunt's Adventures with that logo, it just didn't seem finished to me. I don't know why. So as I'm niching down into where I want the channel to go and the direction I want it to go in, changing the logo started to make more sense for me. And going to the saddle hunter or the guy in a tree, the saddle hunter in a tree, just the outline of him just kind of made sense, because that's more the direction my channel's heading in this at this time.
Right.
So that just made sense to me. I still get the tree, but it feels like it more in lines with where I'm at or where I'm heading.
Okay. Yeah. And obviously saddle hunting has been a huge part of your channel. So I mean, it totally fits for sure. So how did you get the design? Is it something you just found, on Google search, or is it something you had someone draw up? How did you get that?
Actually, that's an outline of me. It came from a photo. My wife took a picture of me when I was doing the Outdoor Life review article last September. So they needed a few different pictures of me. So she took some pictures. So I took that outline and just shaded it as dark gray or as close to black as I could get it. And then ended up sending it out to have it done by a company. So I just got it back a couple days ago. So now I have the transparent and solid black and transparent and solid white. So that was a picture of me, and I tried to do it myself, and all I could do is just gray out the picture, and you could still see me really faintly in the background, and I just didn't like it.
So if you don't mind me asking, what company did you use?
That's a great question. I would have to ask my wife that and let you know, so you could have it at that point. But I don't know what company she used. She found them.
Okay.
It's somebody we used. It's somebody we used before, and she reached out to them to make sure they were still doing logo designs, and they were. And the guy's great, so I'll be happy to get you his information, because he does great work. He's super fast and pretty inexpensive.
Yeah, I'm sure there's people who are looking for that sort of thing. I cannot recall who. I'm kind of like you. I don't remember who it was that worked with my logo. But yeah, it doesn't work just using a Sharpie, unfortunately.
No.
You got to have someone with some computer skills.
Yep.
So let me jump from that. Man, I'm terrible following rabbit holes, but you brought it up and it was later in the notes. So the Outdoor Life article, tell me how that came about. Obviously, you've done tons of saddle reviews, but how did writing an article come about?
Well, the editing manager from, I think that's his title. He contacted me via email and asked if I would be interested in doing an article for Outdoor Life magazine. He kind of laid out the expectations and said, if this is something you're interested in, we'd love to hear from you. So I got back in touch with him, and we had some conversations back and forth. He was just giving me a little more detail and explaining things what their expectations, their timelines, that kind of thing, how many words, word count, and all that was really important to them. So I had to eliminate some really good saddles. There's several really good saddles out there, and I had a really hard time narrowing it down and picking. But they only allowed so many words, and you could do as many saddles as you could fit into that. But this is what we need it to look like, and these are the bullet points we need you to hit. So they did a great job laying out the blueprints of the article and what they wanted, and then I just had to fill in all the details. So that's kind of how it came about.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, now you're a professional author. Add that to the resume, right?
What do you know? Yeah. Yeah. He said that he saw my Ultimate Saddle review and he wanted to link that into the article. So he linked that video review into the article. So I'm assuming that's where he found it or found me. And so
I believe that video is probably where I found you as well.
okay.
I think that is like scrolling through your page, that one just sticks out. It's got that cool backdrop. You see all the saddles, you see these big names. You got Tethered on there, H2, Trophy Line, Arrow Hunter. You're just like, oh, I need to click on that. You know, like it definitely draws some attention for sure.
And see, I didn't even know how to do cool thumbnails back then. That one just worked out for me.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So, can you tell me some about your, it's like blooper reels right here. I can't even spit the words out. Can you tell me a little bit about your typical recording equipment and maybe two different setups? So let's do one for your review videos that you do. And maybe it's the same, but as well as when you're going to self-film. Maybe those two setups, what gear you're using for those two things.
Yeah, it's really the same for me. I'm cheap, but I have a $300 or $400 Canon point and shoot. Picked up a off-brand mic, and so that's basically the meat and potatoes. Other than my GoPro, I run the GoPro as a secondary camera, and then I also run a Akaso, and I use that as a second angle. So I'll have the Hero 9. Yep.
I have an Akaso as well that I am trying out because I am going to shoot that GoPro this year.
There you go. So those are my three main cameras: the Canon, and then the GoPro. GoPro is my primary second angle camera, and sometimes I use that as my only camera. It really has great quality. When it works, I really like the GoPro's quality.
Yeah, for sure.
The audio is it doesn't have the greatest audio, but sometimes I will shoot with the GoPro and use the audio from this camera in my editing. But the GoPro and the Akaso are my second angle cameras, second and third angle cameras. So, and the Akaso, I'm really surprised at the quality of this. That some of the picture color I'm not too sure of the picture quality. When you match it up to the other cameras, it always has a different shade to it.
Yeah.
But the audio on this is really good. I'm really impressed with the audio on the Akaso, more so than the GoPro audio.
And which Akaso is that one? Do you know?
Yeah, this is the Brave 4. This is a couple years old. And then I also use the DJI Mavic Mini for my drone, and that's been a great little drone. It's got some drawbacks that better, higher quality drones have that this one doesn't. The follow me feature and some of those other, you can't do those things with this little guy, but maybe one day I'll upgrade. But for the time being, that drone works out real well for me.
Yeah, for sure. I got the Mini 2 this year, and I love that thing. Like, it's
Oh,
just
good.
very cool.
Now,
Like you,
does that have the follow me features?
does not.
Hmm.
It doesn't, but I love that thing. Like, it's just a fun little toy. And I'm like you, I'm a cheapskate. I'm like, I picked up this Akaso and I refused to buy it new because I'm a cheapskate. So I found it on, I don't know if it was eBay or Marketplace or something for under $100. And I
Okay.
was just like, all right, I'm going to try this out. And I'm finding the GoPro alternative this year because much like that battery dying, although I can't say much, I have a Sony AX53 that I started recording with and it died on me as well.
Oh no.
I don't know if it was the battery or the SD card, but it shut off. So
Yeah, I've had some problems with the GoPro. Um, I was on with customer service today and I'm getting a replacement to this GoPro. It keeps powering off. I have a hard time starting it. It won't power on sometimes. I have to try it multiple times, take the battery out, put it back in. My batteries, the backs of my batteries have pulled off,
that's crazy.
and yeah, I had to tape it on so I could get the batteries out of the camera. I had to use needle nose to get the batteries out of the camera. For the money you pay for the GoPro, I've been a little bit disappointed in uh, some of the features.
Well, if they don't make you send it back, a great way to repurpose it is to shoot it with your bow.
I'll keep that in mind.
So, doing your films, your review videos, you like what tripod are you using for that? You using a tripod, kind of setting it up, or
Yeah, it's I don't even know the brand of it. Again, I'm like you. I don't spend a lot of money on this stuff because I'm hard on it. I beat it up. So I do have a tripod. I'm looking like it might be in here, but it's not. Just an off-brand tripod. I can't even remember the name of it, but it was just a cheaper one off Amazon. But it's served me well. I've covered a lot of public land with it. I've used it for the majority of my reviews. So I'll usually just set the tripod up with my Canon as my main camera, and then I'll use my two action cameras for reviews and get different angles. So I can kind of keep it interesting and not just have one straightforward view. Now I know there's some people that don't like reviews like that. They like one take and they like one camera angle. And if you do a lot of editing in your reviews, they don't like it, and that's okay. I mean, we're all different, and some people love, when you edit a review and have different angles and you can see things from different angles, and that's just kind of the way I do it.
yeah. I appreciate that. I love switching camera angles. Plus, it tries to keep people's attention, I guess.
Yeah.
I actually love on your reviews. Probably one of my favorite things is when you fly the drone and get that
uh,
drone shot, like coming up the tree and kind of whipping around. Like that's one of my favorites. So
that's funny. That's kind of become a staple in all my reviews. I always make sure I get that shot on all my reviews, but it wasn't for cool effect. When I started doing that, it literally was to show the saddle. You can't get that angle no matter how cool the
yeah,
camera arm is you're selling. I can't get it around behind me.
yeah.
So that was the only way I could really get the view from behind showing the saddle. So it just worked out, and I've continued to do that in all my reviews.
Yeah, unless you've got someone else in another tree. I mean, that's the best way to do it. And
Yeah.
yeah, I've often wondered what drone it was because I was like, man, is he putting it on the ground? But now, so do you put your drone on the ground and then start it up, or are you like flying it off
Nope.
the palm of your hand? And
Yeah, I always climb the tree, pull it up, hang it on my gear hanger, and do my review when I'm ready to fly the drone. Just hold my hand out, send it up. I have crashed it a couple times. When you're out in the woods like that, I've got tape on there and glue. But I crashed it when I was up in Minnesota working for the farmer. I was flying the drone, and I think one of my videos, you got some aerial of the combine. I
yeah.
crashed it. It just, I don't know what happened. It disconnected from the remote, and it just went straight down right in front of
Oh
a
no.
grain cart. Yeah. So
And then I know in your blooper reel, like I said, I don't know if we talked about this or it was before we started recording. That was one of my favorite videos, is the blooper reel, where you've got like all these different bloopers that you've set aside. And I think you had one where that drone crashed while you were kind of circling around.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it spun down from the trees. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's you've got all your equipment, you recorded the video. Let's talk about editing. What editing software are you using, and how long you've been using that specific one?
Well, without having any editing knowledge when I started, I jumped around on a couple different platforms and I landed on iMovie, and iMovie just kind of clicked with me and I got really familiar with it. I know there's probably a lot better editing software out there, and I did try Final Cut Pro for a period, but something kept drawing me back to iMovie, and I don't know if it was just because I was so familiar with it or if it just clicks with me the way, I don't know. I went back to iMovie, so that's what I almost have used the entire time, except for a small stint where I use Final Cut Pro.
Okay. And then what are you using for thumbnails, making thumbnails?
I use Canva.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's
So
like a free app or something, or a free website, or?
there is free and then there's paid subscription. And my wife also uses Canva, so we actually have the paid. So that allows you to use different templates, that type of thing. But I usually just use a blank template. I usually screenshot a segment from my review, and I will pick that and then take it over to Canva and make the thumbnail that way. So I don't usually think of a thumbnail and say, I need to get pictures of this, and I generally don't do that. I just take a clip from my actual review and drag it over and make a thumbnail.
Okay. All right, so we're like kind of at the midway point, and I thought we would play a game, and that game is a game that I think I would lose at, but I'm pretty sure you're going to win. It is called Name That Saddle.
Uh-oh.
So
I better.
I pretty sure that you probably reviewed just about every one of these. So I'm going to give you the saddle name, and then you have to give me the brand.
Okay.
So I think the first one will be fairly easy. Phantom.
Tethered.
Yep. About the Renegade.
Ooh. Hang on a minute. A Renegade. That wouldn't be a trophy line, would it?
No.
Hang on. I know that saddle. I know that name.
Let me search it. I'm 95% sure you reviewed it.
I don't know if I reviewed a Renegade, did I?
Yes.
I did.
Yep.
Oh, I can't believe I can't remember a saddle I reviewed.
It may be a slight trick.
Okay. You're going to have to tell me. I'm not sure on the Renegade.
XOP.
Oh.
It's the kind of saddle, kind of harness thing with straps all over.
I was running through my head trying to picture all the saddles, but you are right. I absolutely know the XOP Renegade. That was my bad. So you got me on that one.
I was trying to go for a little bit of trickery, a little bit. How about I'm going to butcher this, the Archon?
Yep, that is Cruiser.
Yep. How about the Venatic?
That is Trophy Line.
Classic 2.
Latitude.
Slingshot.
Give me a second on that one. Hang on. It's like on the tip of my tongue. Oh, that's H2.
Yep.
That was too easy. I thought way too hard about that one.
Kestrel.
Arrow Hunter.
This may be another one. I'm Dre 2.
The Dryad, Dre.
Yeah.
I haven't reviewed that one, by the way, but I'd like to.
This may be my other possibility for a stump. The Hemlock.
I know of the Hemlock. I have not reviewed the Hemlock, but I know of it.
The only reason I even know about this company is I saw them at the Novi Expo Center's event last year.
I know of the saddle. I just cannot picture which manufacturer I know of it from.
It is a company called Tuber.
Yes. I actually have reached out to them. So I've not reviewed that saddle, but I'm familiar with the saddle.
How about the Shrike?
That's Arrow Hunter. That's this one.
You tried giving that one away a couple times now.
I'm still waiting. If the second winner is watching this video, please contact me because I'm still hanging on to that one, trying to get rid of it.
If not, maybe the third time will be the charm.
Maybe.
OSS.
That's Hunt Light.
Black Belt.
Timber Ninja.
Recon.
That is I can picture and I know the owner. Tree Hopper.
Yeah. Sidewinder.
That's CGM.
And
Custom Gear Modifications, just to clarify that.
And the last one, Reaper.
Is that TX5?
That is.
Yeah.
Well done.
Well, you got me on two.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of them I knew for sure. I should not have lost that one.
I had to do some digging. I would have definitely missed several of those. Like I said, the Tuber one only because I saw them at a show last year and I had to look them up. But
that was a good one. Nice job.
Well played. So you have reviewed. Do you know the exact number of saddles that you've reviewed over the years?
20. I think I'm working on my 28th or 29th. I think might be the 28th. I'll just say 28th. So
wow,
28 of them right now.
That's impressive. You're the only guy that I know of, and not that I have. I mean, I have probably 300 plus subscriptions on YouTube, but you're the only one that I know of that has reviewed anywhere near that amount. So definitely, I think you've earned, at least in my reputation, king of saddle reviews for sure.
Yeah, well, thank you.
So talking about YouTube videos, do you track your analytics and stuff like that? Do you kind of follow it and watch how a video is performing?
I didn't used to. I've just started watching the analytics, and I'm still learning more about the analytics. My wife actually knows a whole lot more about the analytics than I do, and we talk about it off and on all the time. But yes, I am looking more at my analytics now than I ever have.
When you're posting a video, do you go down and do you put in keywords or any of that stuff, or is it pretty much what you put in is just the description for the video?
I do put in some keywords, but not as many as I used to. I've heard that it's not good to put too many. I don't know if that's true or not, but I've heard that just using 3 or 4 or 5 is enough. I used to put about every combination I could think of as a tag in there, but I don't do that anymore. I just put a handful, 3 or 4, and then just the description. I don't do a ton of research about what is going to be the best tag for a successful video or even the best thumbnail. I don't do a ton of research on that, and that might change in the near future. I probably should do a little bit more than I am, but again, I just started following the analytics a little bit closer within this past year. So
what would you say is your biggest frustration about being a YouTuber?
probably always trying to find that video, always trying to, it's the rat race. You're always trying to come up with that video that's going to take off, or just trying to wow everybody with, good footage and good, that can be a little bit overwhelming. And sometimes I have to just not even worry about that and just film what I need to film and then edit it and make it the best I can make it. And I have fun with it. I have fun with the editing side of it, but that's probably the most frustrating thing is just always chasing that stick with the cheese on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, struggling to think like, oh, I got to do this video because that's what people want to see versus, like I've kind of fallen back into, I've tried to chase it a little bit, but now I'm just like, you know what? I don't care if people don't want to see me shoot a GoPro. I want to see me shoot a GoPro, so I'm shooting a GoPro.
Right.
Because those videos, I don't get a lot of views on them, but I don't care. I enjoy it, so I'm just going to do it. And
yeah,
that's kind of what I've decided, at least for me for now.
Yep.
How about comments? What do you do with comments? Do you try to reply to every single one? And if so, how do you handle, I'm sure you've gotten your share of negative comments, and how do you handle those?
Those are great questions. I take comments very seriously, and I respond to every single comment. They might, depending on the video and depending on the comment, it might be a little bit shorter, but sometimes I probably invest too much time responding and 2 and 3 sentences when it could just be, a lot of folks would just give 1 or 2 words, or just say thank you or something like that. I always feel like if somebody's taken the time to watch my video and then they're taking the time to put their comments down, that means a lot to me. And I appreciate their viewership. I appreciate the fact they took the time. So I make it a point to comment back or respond to every comment. That's really important to me. As far as negative comments, I've gotten my share, and I know there's folks out there. It seems like as soon as I post a video, I remember in the past, I haven't really paid much attention anymore, but there were times where as soon as I posted a video, it wasn't out more than 5 seconds and I had a thumbs down on it. So I know there's people out there, as soon as you post something, they just don't like you and they just give you a thumbs down. I get occasional negative comments. I don't get that many, but I do get some. And I try to respond to those in a professional way, in a loving way, in a kind way. I try to respond with respect. They might not have been respectful to me, but according to the Lord, and let me just paraphrase it with this, or just say this. It's important to me to honor God in everything I do. That is my number one goal, is that I represent the Lord in a way that brings him honor. And if I get negative comments, if I just spew back at them, even if I don't use foul language, even if I'm just have an angry tone, or that's not going to honor God. And that's not how I want to use my channel. So I always try to respond back in a respectful way, and on occasion, in an enlightening way. I might even use hunting as our heritage, type of direction, but I always try to be respectful. Sorry if I got long-winded on that, but
yeah, no, definitely. Like, it's always surprising sometimes when you see some of these negative comments and you're just like, where did that come from? And
yeah,
like, why are you on this channel watching this if it offends you? Like, I just looking to get a fight. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I did a broadhead review, tooth the broadhead review, and I posted a short on it not too long ago, and I got a comment back, and it kind of cracks me up. But you want to know if it made me feel like a tough guy, and shooting an innocent animal and that kind of stuff. So you get those negative comments. And I was shooting at targets. I wasn't even shooting at an animal in the video. But you just try to respond back in a decent way.
That's crazy. I was just trying to scroll through to see if I could find that, but yeah, it is amazing that people, I don't understand that, but
Yeah.
You talked a little bit about the thumbnails, and you were talking about, I think you said your wife kind of helps you out with the thumbnails. Have you ever tried switching some of your thumbnails? I know you talked a little bit about your thumbnail for the saddle review, that one specifically. But have you ever played around with switching them up mid after being posted?
Very few times. If I did it at all, it was probably because I didn't like it when I first used it, and I knew I was going to go back and change it. Maybe I needed to get the video scheduled and posted, and I didn't have time to get the thumbnail together I wanted, and I went back, found the part of the video that I wanted to use as my thumbnail and redid it. But I never have looked at one and said, I'm just going to replace it and see how it performs, if that makes a difference. I've never done that, but only if I knew I didn't want to keep a thumbnail as the permanent one, I would go back and replace it.
So you've obviously done tons of saddle reviews, and you've also done tons of saddle giveaways, which is awesome because, you talk about it all the time that a lot of times these companies are sending you a saddle. And instead of just keeping it for yourself, like you have given away, do you know how many saddles you've given away now?
I used to. I had it documented. I could go through them on my spreadsheet and I could probably tell you, but I've given, let's see, I know I've probably purchased 10 of the saddles I've reviewed, and then I turn around and sold those for a slight loss. But so probably the remaining saddles have all been given away, except this Arrow Hunter Strike.
Yeah,
I've had 2 giveaways on that saddle, and I've still not given that one away, but I'm trying.
Yeah.
No, that was a personal decision of mine when I started doing reviews. For one, I want to help a guy out. And I know there's a lot of guys out there who want to get into saddle hunting. I get comments all the time. They want to get into saddle hunting. They just don't have the finances to make that jump or make that big purchase. And so for one, I'm doing it for that guy. I'm also doing it because I want to remain an independent saddle reviewer. I don't want companies to send me saddles, and it'd be really easy to keep that saddle. And if I know they're sending it to me and I can keep it, why not say good things about it? And they can keep sending me saddles. And that's what I don't want.
Right.
So I intentionally, let me tell you, there's some great saddles out there that I've worn that I really want to keep. And I hate to give them away. But on the same note, I love giving them away because I love helping guys out. I know guys love it. I know it generates positive, feelings towards my channel, towards the saddle manufacturer. And to me, that's a win-win, is to give the saddle away. Would I love to keep them? Yeah, I would love to keep them. And I wonder if some of the other saddle reviewers keep their saddles. I don't know. I've never asked that question. But it's just something I like to do. And it helps me stay 100. When I say it helps me stay 100 fair and honest, 100% fair and honest in my quick disclaimers or disclosures, that's true. And that's exactly why I do it. Is I don't owe them anything other than a thank you for allowing me to review their saddle and give it away. I'm not keeping that saddle. So that's kind of how I see it.
And do you think, and I know you're not doing it for this reason, but do you think having giveaways on the channel has boosted like significantly, or is it kind of like, I get a few extra subs here and there?
It's funny because a lot of the videos where I'm doing giveaways, I would think they would have higher views, and they don't necessarily. So I don't know if that really spikes up the views. I can't say that I see any evidence of that. So I would like to think doing a giveaway would, create a ton of excitement and the views would just go through the roof. But I mean, your channel's only going to reach who it's going to reach
Yeah.
in their feed, unless they know who you are. But and they're watching waiting for your review to come out. But I don't know that I think it helps, but I don't know to what degree.
Yeah. I know I'm a cheapskate. So I sold my own sit drag, and then I traded some other hunting gear for a tethered Phantom 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. And then I ended up winning a Latitude Classic 2
Oh, nice.
from another channel's giveaway. So I'm kind of like, man, I've got two saddles. Like maybe I should do a giveaway. But then every time I think about that, I'm like, my brother-in-law's talked about saddle hunting. It'd be cool if I already had the gear and he could try it and saddle hunt with me. So I know, like, I've done a couple of giveaways on my channel, and like, it's a lot of fun just giving stuff away.
Yeah.
It's almost, for me, almost as much fun as shooting stuff. So, and I love doing that. So,
Yeah.
definitely it's fun, and I feel like it's exciting. Like, I know, what did I give away last time? I gave away a camera arm. That I was making.
I tried to win that.
Yes, I think you were the second shot on that one.
Yeah.
I shot for the winner, and I was super looking forward to that day because, like, I want to find out who's going to win this thing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I do want to give a big shout out to all the saddle manufacturers who allow me to do the giveaways. I have reviewed a couple of saddles, not many, one or two, maybe just one. They needed the saddle back. It was a prototype. It was not a saddle that was meant to be sent out, but they allowed me to review it, but they needed the saddle back. So I will send the saddles back if the manufacturers want them back. But they've all been very generous and said, nope, give them away. We want guys out there to have them. So I couldn't do it without them. So I do want to just say thank you to all the saddle manufacturers out there who allow me to do the giveaways, because I couldn't do it without them.
Yeah, that's super cool that they're willing to do that, and that they see the gains by letting you review them specifically, which is very cool. So I think that speaks volumes to you and your channel and how well they think of you. So,
well, thank you for that. I did the Tooth Deer Broadhead review. That's in line with saddle hunting and bow hunting and that kind of thing. So, but I'm even getting to the point where I may start steering away from those as well, and really just focusing my attention on saddle reviews and trying to get away from, I don't want to say watering down my channel, but just trying to really focus on the saddle aspect. Saddle hunting gear is what I'm really trying to focus on, whether that's platforms, carabiners, that type of thing, one sticks or whatever, climbing sticks, a lot of nice climbing sticks coming out, and the carbon sticks. I know there's different companies with carbon sticks now. So I'm wanting to focus more on the saddle hunting than on hunting in general.
Okay. Yeah. And I think there's something to that, just from the interviews that I've had through this podcast. Like a lot of guys are saying, you find that niche in your market and focus on that, because there's so many guys out there trying to do self-filming and hunting stuff that it's saturated, and it's kind of hard to find that. And if you focus on that one thing, and I think that's pretty wise.
Absolutely. That's key. Yeah.
Have you, like, obviously you've had a lot of manufacturers seeking after you, besides saddles specifically, have you kind of sought out some products to, are you chasing them at all? to let them review their products. Do you do any of that?
The only one that comes to mind is the Tooth of the Arrow broadhead sharpener. I had, after putting out the Tooth of the Arrow broadhead review, I've had several questions on how do you sharpen those. And at the time I did the review, but I didn't focus on sharpening those broadheads because they sent me the broadheads to do a review. So I did the review. So that got me thinking, well, I don't know. I mean, let me look into that. So I started looking into it, and Tooth of the Arrow does offer a broadhead sharpener. I haven't even posted this review yet, but I did review their sharpener. I reached out to them, and they actually reached out to me. I guess it was kind of mutual. They sent a informational questionnaire type thing. Is there any other products you'd like to review? And I responded to that and said, yeah, I'd like to review your sharpener. So I did reach out to them, I guess, but they reached out to me and asked. So
yeah,
that was kind of a mutual. But outside of saddles, I can't think of anything. I can't think of anything where I've gone to a company and said, "Can I review this for you?"
Just because I'm obviously these things, saddles and the gear, the hunting gear is so expensive, and for you or any of us to be purchasing all this gear to review is, especially when not making a lot of money on YouTube. But I'm thinking specifically all these new sticks and platforms that are coming out, chasing down some of those guys. I'm like, hey, how about you send me a set of those carbon fiber sticks and let me review them, and not necessarily keep them, but just, hey, let me review them and check them out.
As my channel's growing and as I'm doing more saddle reviews, I'm not personal friends with any of the saddle companies or the manufacturers or any one of them. I know them, and we've gone back and forth on email or text or something about an upcoming review, or I might ask them, is there something specific about this saddle that you want me to look at or cover? That kind of thing. So I kind of interact with them a little bit, but outside of that, I don't communicate with them. But as my channel's growing, I am starting to get a little more, a few more requests from the saddle manufacturers that have platforms and sticks, that type of thing. If I'm interested in reviewing more than just saddles.
Yeah.
And I am interested in, like I said, I want the channel to focus on the saddle hunting as a whole and not just on the saddle itself. But that's going to be, the saddle reviews are my main heart. That's what I love doing. I really enjoy doing them, and I want to keep doing the saddle reviews. But if it is saddle hunting related, I'm interested in reviewing that.
Yeah. And you've obviously kind of taken the turn to one sticking as well. And that seems to be becoming very popular. And I see, you've been doing several reviews and shorts with that sort of equipment.
Yeah. I'm actually late to the game when it comes to one sticking. I mean, there's been videos out there for quite a while about one sticking. So it's growing in popularity, but it's also kind of old news at the same time.
Yeah.
And to a lot of guys. So I'm a little bit late to the game, but I intentionally, it's kind of funny. I don't know if I was being stubborn or if there was a reason, but I intentionally did not get involved in one sticking when it first came out. It was just one more thing that had all these new products and all of this new gear and all of, just that, like I said, the rat race, just going and going and going and going. So I intentionally did not get into one sticking when it came out, but I'm kind of surprised I didn't, because like I told you when we first started, I love rock climbing. I've always had a desire to do some rock climbing, and so I'm surprised I didn't get into one sticking, because you get to rappel down and you get some cool gear. And but I'm really glad that I got into it. I'm really enjoying it. I enjoy going out and practicing, honestly, as much as I do going out and deer hunting. It's a lot of fun. I just really enjoy it.
Yeah. On average, let's say an average review video, time spent filming and editing, altogether, how long would you say an average video you have into the one of those?
Depending on the video, it can take a lot of time.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I am amazed sometimes how much time I spend just the editing alone, let alone doing a simple video and lugging all that gear and setting it up. And for me, 50 takes to get the first clip that's usable.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times you stop the cameras, you stop this camera, you stop that camera, and you say, starting over. You got to restart them all because I don't want one camera keep running and then this one's only, and then you got to find all the footage. So I always have to stop them all, then I have to start them all again. Yeah, it happens a lot. It's frustrating.
Or say you're in the middle of doing a great review and all you hear is bang, bang.
That happens too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I forgot to touch on that, but recently you've obviously been posting a ton of shorts. And a lot of that seems to be, you're pulling just out of your normal videos. And how do you think that's been going for you? Have you seen like obviously number of views has gone up, but has that drawn in a lot more viewers, you think?
I think it has. I think shorts are key right now. I think what I've heard, shorts are more important right now than long form videos. Now, obviously you can't do saddle reviews on shorts. You got to do your long form videos. But I think a focus right now should be on shorts for everyone. Our attention spans are down. They're short videos. People can watch them quickly. You get views that way. And I have seen an uptick in my subscribers since I've started really focusing on shorts.
Yeah. And I mean, as far as hunting wise, I would say the shorts seem to be looking really good. Like just scrolling through, it's not uncommon to see your videos getting a couple 1,000, 2,000 views on them. So definitely it's got to help out some.
Yeah. The ones that I pull from videos, obviously those are much easier. You don't have to come up with video ideas. You don't have to go out, set up your camera gear or use your phone and get those shorts. Some of the one sticking shorts I've done have been a little bit harder because I've had to take the footage. I've actually set up camera gear to get the shots, and then I have to come back here. Not all the footage is in shorts format, so you have to reformat that and then pull it back over to your shorts to upload it. So it takes a little more work. So it's a lot easier to just, if you have a video, to just create a short out of that video, but you're also limited then to whatever was in that original video. You only get that window of material. You can't make those adjustments and you can't get the shots you want. You just have to use what you had. And some of those aren't as successful as, I would like to see, but that's okay. I just want to be consistent with putting shorts out, and I think it is helping. So,
yeah, definitely. I've had a few that have done okay, but I've not had a whole lot of success, but I also haven't tried it very much.
Yeah.
And especially the vertical format, like everything we're trying to film, horizontal. Like anytime I've had my wife helping film with my cell phone or something, like she does this, I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
Turn it for me. Now it's kind of like, all right, you have to intentionally now try to record some stuff on the phone vertically. And so
it goes against everything we've been doing the last few years. Everything is this way.
Yeah.
And it totally goes against it. But yeah, it's the way to go though. It's what I'm hearing. Shorts are the way to go.
Yeah. So obviously you have a blooper video, but what do you think is some of the funniest things you've ever had happen while filming?
I don't know. We should just watch my blooper reel and then they're all in there.
Yeah. I highly recommend that. And I think you need to pull out part 2. Okay. I know I've been trying to skewer through this last season. I'm like, I'm going to try intentionally now to pull out bloopers. And I wish, sometimes they're maybe not as funny for everyone else, but I mean, I'm sure you've had this. How many times have you been talking to the camera and then it turns off because you never hit record, or the microphone isn't on,
Got the
or
audio off. Yeah,
oh,
I've done that.
I feel like you might have the same microphone, and this one has an on-off switch. It's got the battery
Yep.
power, and the number of times I've gone to edit and then found out that I never turned the microphone on. Ugh.
It's so frustrating. Yeah. Yeah, I think mosquitoes are a funny one. I've got several videos that I didn't include the footage where mosquitoes were so bad. You're smacking your face constantly, and I don't put it in the video. I'm like, that's just horrible. It's just nonstop, smacking mosquitoes, and I mean, there's tons of little things that happen all the time. But one thing I did do that I wish I would have got on video is on public land here in Michigan, and I thought I was going to step through. This creek was too wide to jump. It was just wide enough where you couldn't jump across, but it looked shallow. And I stepped into that and went up to my waist.
Oh boy.
And luckily threw all my gear to the other bank and had to pull myself out and dump my boots out. I did not get that on video, but that happened. So things like that you never get on video.
Yeah. Thankfully, you didn't have a camera in your hand. That might have been bad.
Yeah.
So, well, I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me. I've definitely enjoyed it. Have you got any other maybe tips and tricks that you can think of to help some other viewers and YouTubers out?
I really think the biggest tip is kind of what we've already talked about, and that is find something to zero in on. Find something that YouTube, they say, is the biggest encyclopedia now. Everybody uses YouTube to research things they're looking for. So find that one or two items that you can really niche down and just focus on those. And I think if you're putting out the best content you can on one or two items and just over and over and over, that consistency, I think, is going to be key for anybody wanting to get started. Like you said earlier, so many guys are out there self-filming, and some of them have awesome editing experience and they can get the greatest shots out there, and I'm never going to be able to get some of the great shots that they have. And if you're wanting to just go out and do self-filming, that's too broad. And I think self-filming as in hunts, I mean, you really need to find, and if it is in hunting, that's fine, but find the one thing about hunting that nobody else is doing and focus on that. And I think that will start to, that'll help you.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. I really appreciate you taking the time. I'm sure there's other things you could be doing, but really appreciate the time you take out. I appreciate the focus that you put into your channel. And I appreciate you sharing your life and sharing your thoughts on hunting, and as well as just that incredible story of how you were convicted to even drop out of hunting, and how God has used that. And maybe after that has kind of ignited a different type of fire. But that is really cool. You talked about conviction, and that is really the one thing that I took away from that. That really, like I said, it gave me goosebumps when you started talking about it. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it now. And I'm sure some people who are watching this may not understand what conviction means. And I know I would love to talk to you more about that. Matt would love to talk to you about that, I'm sure. So you can get a hold of either one of us. But I think we can both say that we've felt the conviction of God, and He is sent His Son Jesus to die for us on a cross and forgive us of our sins. And that causes us to feel conviction or guilt of not serving Him in the fullest way possible. So if you'd like to learn more about what that is, and if it's something you want to hear more about, feel free to contact me, contact Matt over at Mad Hunts Adventures. Matt, again, thanks so much for the time you spent with me. Really appreciate it.
It was an absolute honor. I don't deserve to be on your channel or your podcast, so thank you so much for having me. It was awesome talking with you.
I appreciate it. And for everyone watching, thanks for sticking around, and we'll see you next time.